Welcome to The Lifestyle CEO, a community designed for women looking to take their life into their own hands and redefine what success looks like for them.
I'm Katie, a clinical psychologist and couples therapist. I'm passionate about connecting you with the tools you need to create the life and relationship you want.
And I'm Christina, a marketing and business expert who has built her life around giving herself and those around her the ability to choose what their lifestyle looks like for them.
Together, we have created the podcast for women just like us who are looking to redefine what success looks like for them and enjoy a lifestyle that they love.
Hello.
Can we just talk about the fact that you were just like so look like cool, calm and collected, and I'm like sweating up a storm here. I'm like, come over here, air conditioning.
There may be stuff going on today with Katie, we're not sure. No, we've had a very hectic day. Have we?
Have we? No, I feel like I've had a very chill day actually.
No, I was actually
literally chill day because I did the cold bath lunch.
I know. Yeah. Can we hear about your day first? Because I really like that what you did, and I feel like it's important for everyone to hear this.
Okay. So I went away for the night because I'm doing a bit of like a reset on the business side of things and with podcasts with you and another podcast that I'm doing and just kind of figuring out what I'm doing and how it all kind of connects together. So a bit of that higher level thinking. And for me personally, I struggle to do that inside my home with my children.
But I also think we need to give a round of applause to your husband who has allowed you.
Amazing.
Well, it sounds ridiculous, but
maybe not allowed.
Not allowed.
Supported me.
Supported you with this decision.
Yes.
But like, I think there's a lot of listeners that will probably be like, wow, I could really do with a night away.
I think it's so important. It's not actually the first time. We haven't spoken about this, but I have done that a few times in my life.
I was very jealous when she told me.
Particularly when I'm writing or something like that. Like I find just having that time away to just really kind of immerse yourself in that thinking and just let it stew is super helpful for me. And then allows me to be more present at home.
Yeah.
And I find like, you know, he actually suggested it because he was like picking up, he's like, are you feeling a bit stressed? Because I had a bit of a deadline for this weekend. And he's like, do you just need some time while you just go away? And I was like, yeah, actually that's a great idea.
Guys.
So I just went away for the night and to a really sweet little place actually in Bali that I just found on booking.com. I feel like I'm doing vlogs here. There's no affiliations going on here. Called Zenden, and it's just like a room, but they actually had a cold plunge pool. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, cold plunge.
Well, it's like a barrel, cold plunge
barrel.
Yeah.
They come in all shapes and sizes.
And a sauna, and it was my first one. And so
first time.
I actually recorded it. I've got a new selfie stick. I'm not normally the selfie stand up.
So hang on, let's just summarise. Katie's gone to Canggu with a selfie stick.
For those who don't live in Bali, Canggu is like...
She's taken her, Bali's got her.
That's a whole other level of like selfie stick moment. So I was in Canggu with my selfie stick, doing my cold plunge, and this guy was really sweet. He was like, is this the first time you've done it? I was like, yeah. And so he was like kind of instructing me about breathing, which is really important, and I know that's a psych. But it was a really good reminder because as soon as my body hit that cold, of course, I stopped breathing. I was like, oh, yes, good reminder just to breathe. But it was a really nice way to start the day.
I think a lovely weekend. So you went to Canggu, had your first time with another man.
Oh my gosh, you're taking this to a whole other level. He was there with his partner. Just a kind man offering me instructions on the plunge pool.
But no, I think so I texted Katie last night just checking in, and she was like, yeah, I'm just going away for the night, just to get some space.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, like I feel like everyone needs that. And it's not even, I mean, I think a lot of us even do space so we can fill it with things that we don't have time to do at home or we don't have the headspace to do. But it's actually like just having space on your own is also so important because I think, especially as mums or whatever your roles are, it's like you're just constantly going at 100 miles an hour. And normally that also means you're being interrupted all the time.
Yeah.
And that's where I get really stressed and I find it really hard is like if I'm trying to do something and then I keep getting interrupted. And it's not just by the children, it can be by anyone when you're at home, right?
Absolutely.
Phone calls and like meetings or whatever. And it's like actually carving out, we talked about this I think last time, carving out space just to be silent, I guess, or just in your own head without
I think even, for me, for this one was more about kind of work stuff in a way. But I agree, like the having for yourself is really important. But I think also, for that work stuff is that higher level thinking, I think sometimes you do need time for, and as you said with children, like it's just constant. And so we're in a situation where both our kids are at home at the moment. I work from home, so it's just really hard to grab those. And it's not fair on them either, because they want attention, and that's understandable. They should have that time with me. But when you can just remove yourself, for me personally, I feel like it's just like my productivity goes up so much, but then you kind of get that time back in a way.
Yeah. And I also think like the two of us really enjoy the work we do, right?
Yeah.
And actually, I think when you become a mother or you're working from home, which a lot of people are doing now, you almost feel guilty that you should be doing other stuff. So like, I'm at home, so I should be doing the washing, or I should be doing the washing up, or I should be putting laundry away. When actually giving ourselves the space, as you would have done if you were going into an office, gives you that enjoyment for work again, rather than just like sitting at home like, oh, I've got to rush through this to get it done, to get on to the next thing. Actually, I find if I go to a co-working space or something in the evenings when my typical like UK time starts, I just enjoy it so much, and I give myself that time to like think rather than just, right, I've got to tick off this to-do list while I'm here, you know? And it's so much more enjoyable. And I think then you naturally have a more productive output and probably a better output of the work you're doing, because you're not just ticking off another thing on your to-do list. It's like actually giving yourself the time and space to put that energy that you want to into the work you're doing.
Absolutely. Which brings me to one of the things I want to talk about, which was around defining success.
Yes.
And ideas of success, because I think this all ties in together, isn't it? It's about like what we want that life to look like. And as you said, we both really love what we do, but it's also really important how we do that and how we kind of carve out the time and how we
fit it in a month.
Yeah, I was going to say fit it in, and I was like, no, I don't even want to call it fit it in, because it's like, how do we carve out those pieces of our life so it all works together a little bit more smooth? And I think that is a little bit stepping outside those traditional ideas of like what that should look like. Yeah,
we were talking about this earlier, right? Because I think when you are brought up in a Western society, which we have been, the idea of success is firmly placed with money.
Yes.
And power and being productive, I guess, or being busy. There's this busy culture. I hate it. Culture. Like, oh, I'm so busy, and it's like a badge of honor. And it's like, is that a badge of honor? But success, it tends to be power and money, right? We think of the successful people as the ones that are well recognized or really wealthy or have power, whatever.
Certain positions. Yeah. Be climbing the corporate ladder or whatever it is.
And I think for me anyway, and we were talking about this earlier, it's like since moving to Bali, and this is one of the first things I learned here, which I really reflected on since I've moved here, is that is just not the symbol of success here at all. At all.
It's very different.
And it's like mind blowing when you first get here. And we were talking about it because obviously if you've got like a nanny or something, their priority is always to have days off to allow them to enjoy the ceremonies that, you know, take place as part of their culture and their religion. And it's not even about like, oh, I could earn a bit of extra money so I won't go to that ceremony. It's like the ceremony is the number one priority for them, and they want a job that will allow them to do that.
Yeah.
Of course they need money. Everyone needs money to live, but it's not about getting to be the richest, getting to be the most powerful.
Or they just won't stay. Like if you don't provide a work environment that allows for that, they will not stay. Yeah.
And it's like if they could, they would choose to not work and do more like cultural.
Like they would, and it's also that family time. Like I think for me, one of the things that really attracted me to Bali, like I definitely came here burnt out and for a reset. And it was definitely about the culture and all of that stuff, just the way they prioritize family. Yeah. For us having young children, like the way that Bali is just so unique in terms of the culture and the way that they value children and the joy they get from children. So it's not even just like, you know, you go to a restaurant or you go anywhere And this took me a while to adjust to because, and I had a culture shock when I went to Australia, is that like you walk in somewhere and the staff genuinely are so interested in your children and just want to play with them. And so you can like eat your meal and they'll be happy like talking to your kids or playing with your kids. And it's a genuine thing. Like it's not like a service that they offer.
Yeah, no, they're just really excited by it.
They're just really interested in your kids. And I think that sort of comes back to this idea of like what they value and what they put at the center
of their
of their world, and their idea of success is like family, their culture,
religion.
Their rituals, religion, which is, I mean, we love it. And then at the same time, it does take time to adapt to because we're so not used to that culture. Our culture is so different.
And actually, I was just thinking about this now. So I think the other thing that we deem successful is when you're constantly striving for a new goal.
Yes.
And that tends to, again, the only thing that is scalable really, I was just thinking like family time is not, you don't set goals around family, right?
No.
You don't set goals around culture. So as Westerners, we're so progress driven. And again, that leads to burnout. It leads to like kind of striving for all these things that you're not even sure if you want. And I guess that's kind of what we're coming to on this episode is like, actually really take a minute to think about what you want. And and it doesn't have to be setting yourself these crazy goals every 3 months or like always striving for the next, milestone of income or the next whatever job title or whatever it is. But I think that's really what Bali has taught us is like, it doesn't have to be success based on what society has taught you.
And I think it's more like, I think the thing with Bali is it's the feeling you get. Like it's not even an intellectual thing of like, I can see this and this is the way they live their life. It's how you feel here.
Yeah.
And I know I've had conversations with people and one of the first things everyone always asks is like, how are you earning money at Bali?
Yeah.
Like how are you doing
I get
this?
asked that all the time.
And it's such a focus on that. Like it's the first thing that people ask and they want to understand. It's not about like, what's your life like?
How do you feel?
How do you feel? How's things going? Because we have this fear around money and like making it work and being successful. And these ideas of success. And I think for me, like I came here with that goal in mind of like really slowing down and really changing the way I live my life. And I honestly felt like it wasn't possible to do in Australia. Not to say that that's not everyone's position. Of course, people can make those changes in their home country. But just where I was at personally in my level of like burnout and everything I'd been through there, I really needed some space. And Bali gave me that space. And I wanted to be immersed in that kind of culture that had such a different priority and focus because I know myself and I know I'd get sucked back into like trying to perform and succeed and do, just take everything on and do everything. Yeah,
that's so interesting. And do you feel like you've got that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think, mine was similar. I don't think I was I probably was burnt out, just hadn't recognized it. But I think mine was very much driven by the fact that personally, I knew if I stayed in London, I would be prioritizing the wrong things. As in, I would constantly be growing the business. I'd constantly be prioritizing that over the children. Because unfortunately, that kind of is just the way it is. And I guess if you're like the breadwinner or whatever it is in the relationship, that does tend to fall on it. It might be the man, might be the woman, but you naturally spend more time away from home.
Yeah.
And I just thought, actually, there has got to be a better way. And I obviously was fortunate in that I could work from anywhere, but I think, again, similar story. Maybe I hadn't connected the dots as much, but I really was looking for something different. Like I needed to know that this wasn't the way that life had to be.
Absolutely. I think, we came from different places, but we're looking for the same thing. Absolutely.
And I think that's, we're not suggesting that everyone needs to move to Bali. Like, that's just our experience. But I think it's more about the fact you can question how you've been brought up or what you think is normal or what you think success looks like.
And you can put yourself in different environments, even your home environments, different friendship groups, different learning, or whether it be like gym or different health settings, like just being in different environments or online or and as you said, like it is really stepping back and thinking about that idea of success, because I think what I'm hearing from both of us is that we came here looking for a different idea of what that looked like for us, and we felt in our own unique situations that this was the place for us to do that. Which may look different to everyone, what that looks like. But I think that key thing of like, you know, I find so many people focus on like, I'm going to get the money because that's the key, the top of success. So I will work at like getting X amount of money or getting this position, and then I will enjoy my life. And then I will spend time with my kids. And then I will. And don't get me wrong, I've been guilty of this too. I think that's why I need to make that shift, was that it is about, no, my choice isn't actually any of those. My choice is like, I'm going to start living my life differently. And that's what success is. And the rest will kind of fall into place with that.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, you're right, there is a lot of fear around money. Like, not having enough money is a very stressful position to be in, of course. But I think you're right, and it's that actually your money needs to adapt to your life needs to adapt to the money. I'm not quite sure.
I think it's like getting clear on like what it is that you're looking for, because I think when we go into it thinking when we get the money, this will happen. And it doesn't. We actually take ourselves in a different direction. And we may be taking ourselves further away from the lifestyle or the life that we want. And then it actually takes more to get back there. And in a way, sometimes too, you can get caught in that money cycle. So you earn more, you're spending more to try and get pieces of it because you're so time poor. You're not getting to do the things that you need to do. So you're spending more to kind of fill those gaps or whatever it may be. And it can become a really vicious cycle. Whereas like when you have that intention around like, what do I want my life to look like? What kind of lifestyle do I want? How do I want to spend my day to day? Have a really clear picture of that. Of course, money might be part of that and how you earn that, but you're thinking about it from the other way. You're thinking then about like, okay, this is what I want it to look like. How do I now support that financially?
And I think we always say this, but it comes back to how you want to feel. Like I think so many people get like, and I'm definitely guilty of this, get caught up in like, my goals are very focused around things or like points of life or milestones. But it's like, actually more and more I'm starting to realize like having a goal or something around how I want to feel. So, you know, if it's, I want to feel content, or I want to feel satisfied with the work, or I want to feel at peace in my home, or whatever it may be. And then you kind of start realizing that then every day becomes beautiful because your goals are right here, right now. They're not in some distant future where you can allow yourself to be happy when you've done that. And guess what? That day will never come because it will keep pushing further away.
A higher goal.
And I think it's like you were saying to me earlier, like with children, for example, you know, being able to just be at peace at home and playing silly, like little games and having those tiny moments of joy, like making a jigsaw puzzle or something, they filled me with more happiness than taking them on some crazy day out to some massive new theme park or whatever, you know? And it's similar in life. It's like you don't need these, of course you can have them sometimes, but you don't need these massive things to happen all the time to make life beautiful. It's actually like the tiny little moments where you can almost romanticize everything you do in life. And that's how I want to feel, just so in love with life every day, like cooking a dinner and having some lovely music on and my children playing, or like meeting friends and just having, you know, a cute little time and doing whatever. And it's not just like, oh, you know, when we go on that amazing holiday or whatever it may be.
I think that is the big shift that Bali has offered me too. It's just the little moments. And I think we have to recognize we are very lucky, like being here, and we can create some of those opportunities more easily. But I think no matter where you are, it is that shift, isn't it? Because we can get so focused on, even with our children, it being around, I've got to take them to this wonderful place. And some of that can come from guilt and a whole range of other things, rather than just like, you know, the funnest time they can have can be with a hose in the backyard. I mean, we spend a lot of time in our backyard here with a hose.
We play a lot of hose as well.
Your kids are playing hose over at my house the other day. We actually do live, I think that's important to highlight actually, because I think sometimes people can have this image of like what life is like in Bali.
We're not on the beach every day.
We're not at the beach every day.
It's a hassle to go to the beach.
It's so hot. But, you know, we are literally, like, the nice thing with the weather is, like, we are actually outdoors a lot. And, you know, whenever you come to my place, we're sitting outside and the kids
and it's actually a simpler life here.
It's way simpler.
Right?
Yeah.
Because, and it was so funny. So the kids, Logan had an assignment at school to talk to his grandparents about what life used to be like.
Yeah. Wow.
Like as if they were like Victorian or something. But when we were talking to them, it was actually like, well, actually, their childhood was very similar to what Logan and Cash's childhood and Archie and Chloe's childhood is in Bali, because it's a lot of playing outside, a lot of playing with their friends, not really on video games and tellies and, you know, that sort of thing, and making up games. And it's really a simpler life, right?
It is. It's a lot of imagination.
Yeah. And I just thought, actually, that's really nice.
Yeah.
I think the problem with the world we live in at the moment is you do these big moments because you want to capture them and share them on social media. Like, some people are driven by that, right? And as
I said, I got my selfie stick.
Yeah.
The first time. Oh my god, so funny.
And it's like, but then you're also on social media only seeing these posts.
Yeah.
So you're feeling guilty if you're just sat at home doing nothing. And some of my friends will text me like, oh, I just had a really chill day today. And I'm like, and it gives me makes me happy, because I'm like, oh, thank God someone else is not doing anything.
Yeah.
Because I think even we living in Bali have this pressure where we should be doing something all the time because we're so lucky to live here. But actually it's like you then kind of forget that the simplest moments can be in this beautiful home you've created, or the beautiful family life you're creating, you know? And I think it's important to remember that success lies in every single day, rather than like these far off distant milestones you're setting yourself. And it's like, when you say like, what do I want my life to look like? It means every single day, what do you want your life to look like, and how do you want it to feel?
Yes.
So I think that's that.
And I think the hard part of that is that sometimes that does require some shifts, like, you know, and there can be some barriers in that for people, like obviously our own internal dialogue that can come up, but also like the societal expectations, the things the ideas people might have about what a mother should do, or, you know, so all those expectations can creep in and override like your idea. And that's why it becomes so important to become really in touch with, as you said, like that day-to-day picture of what does it look like for me? What is my fulfilled day? What is that for me?
Yeah, and I think it's also important to know like that will change over time.
Absolutely.
Like at the moment, it's going to look very different to what it might look like when your kids are grown up, or when your business is bigger, or whatever. And that's okay as well. And I think, again, the society we live in with social media has sort of made us feel like that choice is taken away from us. Like, as in, what social media says is successful makes us feel like we're not in tune, or we're not able to make that choice for ourselves.
Yeah.
And you can kind of stop trusting yourself with that. But actually, by just keeping in touch with yourself, and I think we'll do a PDF about finding your inner values and stuff, like a guidebook, but really, really understanding your values and what makes you happy, what makes you feel fulfilled, is really important, because that's stuff that people don't really know about themselves. Like, figuring out what makes them light up is almost diluted by what everyone tells them should make them light up, you know?
It's so true. Like, I'm actually thinking about where we caught up for coffee this week at a place that has peppermint chocolate.
Oh yeah.
Coffee. Peppermint chocolate, I'm sure it's a UK thing. It's like Australia. I feel like it's everywhere. But it's not a thing in Bali. So to find a peppermint chocolate.
I've never had a peppermint chocolate coffee.
No, me neither. But it's amazing.
It's like,
So it's like our little treat.
Yeah.
And we went and we were talking, and it was just so enjoyable. Like, it was kind of like a work conversation.
Yeah.
We were talking about, just does not feel like
work. It's like fun.
Because we just enjoy it. And it's so much fun together. And so it is coming back just to that feeling. Like, that was kind of the first time we really got together to really talk about like kind of
the business,
the podcast, and what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And, I think it's that feeling, which can be really hard to find sometimes on your own when you're trying to figure it out. But it is, you know, just looking for those little moments, and it may be in like a little task that you're doing in a role now. What is it that kind of lights you up in that way? And what is it that you want to fill your time doing? Yeah.
And I think we were talking about this earlier as well, but actually we've got sort of stuck on this idea that everything that needs to be good involves hard work.
Yes.
And we were saying this about the podcast because our catch up was so enjoyable, and it was like, actually, it doesn't have to be this like 24/7 grind and hustle, and, you know, you have this image in your head of always being on, working the midnight hours, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, that isn't really what drives it anymore. Like, I think, you know, I don't even think if you work 24/7, you're going to get to wherever you're striving for faster, because actually you'll probably burn out before you get there. But
or you get there and then you burn out and you don't get to enjoy it, and then you take years to recover.
And
so
we were
what's
talking,
the point?
exactly, and we were talking about that. It's like, you can get all the money, but do you have the friends around you that you want to share it with? Or your health, how is that doing? And it's sort of like figuring out all of the wheels of life, or the parts of the wheel of life.
Whatever. I love that. All the wheels of life. All the wheels of the lives.
But you know what? That's actually a good like metaphor or whatever, because it's like, if you have the train running, and one of the wheels comes off, then the whole thing is going to topple, right?
Wonky, man.
I claim that. The wheels of life.
It's very spiritual.
It is.
But I agree with you. Like, it is having it all kind of like moving together, and like we totally recognize, and we've talked about this, that it's not easy to get there. So if you are struggling in that space, and you are in that place where we were, where it's just sort of feeling overwhelming, it's feeling exhausting, you don't know how to create that lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like, it is possible, but I think that starting point, as you said, of getting really clear on like your values, what you want to feel. And we'll totally develop something to help you out with that.
Draft that out.
But it's really important in terms of like creating a life that is fulfilling for you, or your ideal life.
Yeah. And being confident in it as well. Like, I think that's what I struggled with for a long time. It was like, I had so many different ideas and, you know, things that I wanted to try, but it was like, I was trying to fit myself in this box. And then it was just like,
this is why I went away.
Yeah. Because they try and put you in a box.
No, I was trying to put myself in a box.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So I was like,
with me.
I was sort of the same thing. I was like, I just needed that space to step back. And we were talking about this, like, some of the things I want to do is that like a confidence issue? Like, is it that I think I can't do it, or I don't want to do it? Because I definitely don't want to do it if it's that I don't want to do it. But if it's just like, I'm thinking at the moment that it's a stretch for me, that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'm okay with that. And then thinking about just really taking a moment to step back and think about, like, will this bring me joy?
Yeah.
Is this going to make me happy?
I love that
like,
question.
what is this going to bring me? I totally flipped all my planning on its head. Like, whereas I normally start with like the person at the end of it.
Yeah.
Like, how can I help someone?
Yeah.
What do they need? I really stepped back and was like, okay, what do I want this to look like for me? Yeah. What do I want out of this?
That's amazing.
What do I want my day-to-day to look like? How much do I want to work? Like, all that kind of stuff, and really just put it through that filter to then get to where I was like, okay, these are the things I'm really clear now.
Yeah.
I want to do and I want to put my energy to.
I think that's such a good idea. I think a lot of the times, especially when it comes to business, we very much is programmed, and I mean, I'm a marketer, so I push this as well, but to think about the end customer and like build a business around them. But actually, I think probably more from a lifestyle business type of thing rather than maybe you're building a corporate business. But I think a lot of the listeners that we have are building businesses or careers to fit into the lifestyle they want.
But I think even if you are,
it doesn't matter,
in any career, because it doesn't matter
still
what you
need
do.
To have,
It doesn't matter whether your choice is like, you want to be a chef at a great restaurant, you want to drive cars, you want to be a teacher, like whatever it is that you want to do, it's not just about what you do. Like, it is around everything that it gives you, the lifestyle it gives you, what does it support? Because I think at the end of the day, like, if the thing that you are spending a good chunk of your time, like half your life pretty much realistically with all the coming and throwing, if that's not supporting your life, that's just not going to bring happiness, is it? Like, even if you're kind of enjoying that part of it, but it's not supporting you to live the life that you want, or, the needs of your family or whatever it may be, then that's where that conflict comes, and we start to become really unhappy in our roles and stressed and overwhelmed and feel like we're constantly in battle with ourselves.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, and I think it does just come back to confidence. And I just think as a society we're unlearning a lot about what it means to be successful, but also what it means for a traditional role between masculine and feminine. And
absolutely.
There's such a massive cultural shift. And of course, at an individual level, it's easy enough to do, but ish, not really. But it's almost like, with Amazon announcing that all of their staff have to come back to the office 5 days a week, right? That is just going to put so much pressure on predominantly women, because they just cannot do all of the roles that they've actually been allowed to do for the last 4 years or however long it's been since COVID.
Yeah.
But they've now got used to the fact that they can maybe pick their children up from school or drop them off, and they can have a bit of flexibility around what they do during the day, so their whole evening isn't taken up by cooking, cleaning, whatever it is, you know.
Or 2-hour commute.
Or 2-hour commutes. And it's just like, I can't believe that we've gone backwards in that respect. And like, just realizing that this comes down to more than just a productivity push and like making more money for these big companies. It's all about...
It doesn't even work though in terms of productivity, because if you have stressed people, they're not working most productively. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about putting more overwhelm and stress on people. It doesn't suit their lifestyle, and more control. And like, look, let's be real. In the short term, like, you may get the outcomes you want, but in the long term, you're not going to. And that hits your bottom line, because then you are having to recruit and train. And, you know, that's one of the biggest expenses for companies. So I think that mindset shift is so important, not just at the individual level, but at that corporate level. Because it's fundamental, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think there is a lot of companies, and I work with quite a few actually, that are really amazing at this. But
like
really,
your company.
Like my company.
That's exactly why you started.
It is. Like, we started Formation because I only wanted to work with freelancers, because one, I felt like they were like a forgotten workforce, but also it gives them the ability to still earn probably more than they would do at an agency, because you're kind of charging on time. Yeah. But also it's like, they have the flexibility. We're not pushing them to sit at a desk 9 till 5, because nobody works that long, that productively anyway. But also they might want to do something else in the morning, God forbid. Like, I go to the gym in the morning, and that's my like free time, and I love it. But anyway, clients as well who really try to learn about a person or employee's life and lifestyle and life commitments and other things that are important to them, and then allow them to be flexible around that, I think is just so important, because obviously we do have to work, unfortunately. No, I'm joking. I like working. We do.
I'm just thinking that is, let's save this for our next podcast, but it brings me to the idea of like that idea of boundaries, because I can see people's minds ticking at home thinking, you know, maybe you've got a really big role and say you're a director of a company. And like, I've had this happen to me actually after I had Chloe, where they were like, I wanted to go back 4 days a week, which was 6 months, which now I think it's a lot, right? Yeah. But they were like, no, you can't come back unless you come back full time in your role. You have to like basically go.
And you're doing 4 days a week. That's basically
4 days a week. And I was just going to do it for 6 months, but then go back full time. Wow. But the idea was that like, because I was a general manager, because at that level, it was sort of like, no, you need to be there full time. And I was like, oh yeah, of course I get it. Like, that was my response. Now I would be like, no. But you know, it's those kind of things where like, then you have to be able to be clear. And I was clear in myself. I was like, there's no way I go back to 5 days. So then I left the role. But there's that idea of like having a boundary, because I think that we can get so caught in, we're in this place that doesn't allow this, and we can fail to step back and see, but there are places that will, or there are opportunities that will, because of fear. Which I get, like we might need financial security, completely understandable, but we can still create an exit strategy from that. We can still start.
It's seeing the opportunities and the options.
Absolutely.
And I think when you're clearer about where you want to go and where you want to end up, then you feel more confident to like make moves towards it. And we're not saying quit your job tomorrow because your boss is an asshole. Like,
no, don't do that.
It's more like, why?
Don't blow up your life.
You'll feel more confident if you're like, actually, I really understand where I want to go. I understand it's going to take me a year or 6 months or whatever, but I feel better because I know where I'm going.
Or even, which I think we should talk about next episode, is putting that boundary in place with that boss and see if they will shift, right? Because quite often they will. If you put a hard boundary and you're like, this isn't going to work for me long time unless, so, you know, you're not going to say, it's going to work for me tomorrow and I'm out the door if you can't do that. But it's going to work for me long term unless X, Y, Z. And then if they say no, you say, okay, and you stay there and you continue on your exit pathway.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
There's
but
always opportunity, like options ahead of you.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that was amazing.
Yeah,
I actually really enjoyed that conversation. And like we said, we are going to be putting together some like collateral that will really help on the topic of like,
you're ready to create a life on your terms. Join us every week and make sure to like and subscribe to keep up to date with new episodes. All the links to keep in touch with us.
I think it's just like, for me, being a therapist, I always think about that idea of like just giving people a little bit of a blueprint or structure that they can figure it out for themselves. Like, it's not our job to tell people how to live their lives. We want to help you to figure that out for yourself. But sometimes just having a little bit of a framework or a structure, a blueprint around that really helps.
Definitely.
So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. And as always, like and subscribe, and we will see you next episode.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.